Welcome to From Teacher Tired to Teacher Intentional, a free training where I'm going to show you a simple 3-step framework for creating hands-on STEAM experiences in your preschool or kindergarten classrooms using materials you already have. No extra budget, no extra prep time, no screens. But before we get there, I want to start by asking you something, and I want you to be honest with yourself. How many times this year have you gone on Pinterest, searched for a STEAM lesson, found one that looks good, bought the supplies yourself, spent your Sunday night prepping it, introduced it to your class on Monday morning, and watched your kids lose interest in 5 minutes? And then you cleaned it all up, moved on to the next thing, and thought, wow, that was a lot of work for not much learning. If that sounds familiar, I want you to hear this. You're not bad at STEAM. The model is just broken. Before I tell you how to fix this, I want to introduce myself. My name is Cheryl Lipinska. I run Preschool STEAM, a hands-on STEAM curriculum platform used by educators in 37 states and 27 countries. I've been in the nonprofit and educational space for over 20 years. I'm a mom to 3 girls, and I've led STEAM experiences for young learners, from after-school STEAM groups to planning school-wide STEAM nights. I also sit on the board of CASA because I believe every child deserves someone in their corner fighting for their future. So when I tell you there's a better way to do STEAM, it's because I've lived it, tested it, and watched it work with real kids in real classrooms. Let me start by showing you what STEAM looks like when it works, because I think that's more useful than theory. I planned a STEAM night at my daughter's school. I was responsible for every activity for about 50 kids who showed up. So I set up STEAM centers around the room. Each center had simple materials and a photo showing what they could create, not what they had to create. Magnetic tiles were used for building snow forts and ice castles. Lincoln logs and popsicle sticks were used for log cabins. A penguin slide station with loose parts and aluminum foil was set up. Toothpicks and marshmallows for building snowmen. Plastic ice cubes and fake snow were used for sculpting. But here's the center that surprised everyone, including me. One table had Q-tips and glue. That's it. The invitation was to build snowflakes. Kids sat down at that table and did not get up for 45 minutes. I was so excited because it held their attention for 45 minutes with just Q-tips and glue. They weren't following a template, they were creating their own designs. Every snowflake was different. They were problem solving, figuring out how to make the Q-tip stick, how to create symmetry, how to make their design more complex. They were talking to each other about what they were building, and they were completely absorbed. No screens held their attention, no app kept them engaged, only Q-tips and glue. Every single snowflake was different because it was their design, not mine. So, how did I get a room full of kids to stay focused that long with supplies that cost almost nothing? That's what this training is about. Here's why most STEAM lessons don't get that kind of result. Think about how we were taught to do STEAM, or any lesson for that matter. The teacher picks a theme, the teacher searches for a lesson, the teacher gathers the supplies, the teacher introduces and models it, and then finally the students get to do it. You spend 2 hours prepping for 6 minutes of engagement, and that math just doesn't work. And look at who's doing all the work. Teacher, 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 then the students for one small part. You are carrying the entire lesson on your back, and your students show up at the end to follow your instructions. That's teacher tired. You're pouring everything into these lessons where the kids barely get anything out of it. So here's another way to think about it. What's the difference between handing a child a coloring sheet and giving them a blank canvas? With a coloring sheet, there's one right answer. Stay inside the lines, match the example. The teacher decided what it should look like, and the child just fills it in. But a blank canvas, there's no right answer. The child decides what to create. They experiment, they solve problems along the way. A lot of what passes for STEAM lessons right now are coloring sheets dressed up as science. Pinterest perfect examples with step by step instructions where every child ends up with the same result. That's not STEAM. That's following directions. Real STEAM is open ended. It's sometimes messy, it's unpredictable, and it's where the actual learning happens. Right now in your classroom with your 3, 4, 5, and 6 year olds, you're not just teaching them shapes and colors, you're building the foundation for how they approach every challenge for the rest of their lives. So if the old model, the coloring sheet model, isn't working, what does the blank canvas actually look like? This is where we introduce what we call a 5-star learning experience. And what I love about this is it's not just a different way to do a lesson, it's a different way to think about learning. Instead of asking, what lesson am I teaching today? You start asking, what experience am I creating? A 5-star learning experience develops 5 essential skills in your students. These are the 5 stars. Creativity, not just art, the ability to come up with original ideas, to see possibilities, to imagine something that doesn't exist yet, and to figure out how to make it real. Communication, the ability to express ideas, ask questions, describe what they're doing, explain their thinking to someone else. For preschoolers, this is everything. It's language developing, happening naturally through play. Critical thinking, problem solving, observation, figuring out why something didn't work and what to try next. When a block tower falls down and a 4-year-old studies it, adjusts the base, and tries again, that's critical thinking in action. Collaboration, working together, sharing materials and ideas, learning that someone else's approach is different than yours. And that's not just okay, it actually makes the project better. And the 5th star, the one nobody talks about enough, is self confidence. This star matters more than people realize. Because in order to be a creative thinker, you have to be willing to try things that might not work. You have to be okay with failure. You have to believe that your ideas are worth exploring, even if they don't look like anyone else's. The coloring sheet model builds the opposite of self confidence. It builds compliance. It teaches kids I can copy. I can make mine look like the teacher's example. I can do the right thing because that's what I'm supposed to do. A 5-star learning experience builds something different. It builds an I can do it mindset. I can try this. I can figure this out. I can keep going, even when it's hard. That's the difference between a child who's been trained to follow instructions and a child who's been built to think. And building that self confidence now, in early childhood, isn't just nice to have, it's the foundation for everything that comes after. Because learning isn't an outcome, it's not something you finish at the end of kindergarten, it's a journey. And children who believe in themselves keep going on that journey. Children who've been taught to wait for the teacher's example, they stop. So, a 5-star learning experience isn't about checking a box that says, we did STEAM today. It's about making sure that every experience in your classroom is building creativity, communication, critical thinking, collaboration, and self confidence. That's what makes it 5 star. Okay. I know you're probably thinking, this sounds so great in theory, but how do you actually do it? How do you create a 5-star learning experience without spending your entire weekend planning? We use this simple 3-step framework that works with any theme, any materials, and any day, even the days when everything falls apart and you're just improvising. So, this is the simplest step and where most of the magic starts. You set out materials intentionally, but simply, and you let your children decide what happens. A tray of Q tips and glue on a table, blocks and ramps on the carpet, cups and funnels at the sensory station, or one of our Tinker Tubs, just a simple container filled with materials and challenge cards that kids can grab and go. They have craft sticks, pipe cleaners, plastic cups, cotton swabs, everyday stuff you already have. You set it out and they decide what to build. You're not giving instructions, you're not modeling what to make, you're creating an invitation to explore, and then you're stepping back. The materials are the invitation, and the play is the learning. Now, here's what's important, this isn't random. You're choosing materials with intention. You're thinking about what kind of exploration they'll spark, but you're not scripting the outcome. You're trusting that children will bring their own curiosity to whatever you set out, and they will every time. This is the step most teachers skip because it feels like you're not really doing anything, but it might be the most important step of all. Instead of directing, you watch. You listen, you notice. You might see a child testing blocks, makes the best base for a tower. That's engineering. You might hear a child say, "Mine is bigger than yours." That's math, comparison, measurement, language, all at once. You might notice a child mixing two paint colors together and being surprised by the result. That's science. There are what we call moments of wonder, the natural sparks of curiosity that tell you exactly where the learning is already heading. You don't need to create curiosity in young children. Trust me, you know it's already there. Your job isn't to manufacture it. Your job is to notice it when it shows up. Once you've spotted a moment of wonder, you gently extend it, not by taking over, not by turning play into a formal lesson, just by adding one small thing. A question. What do you think would happen if you made your ramp steeper? A material. Adding measuring cups to the water table when you notice children comparing how much water different containers hold. A challenge. Can you build a bridge that's strong enough to hold this toy car? One question, one material, and one small challenge. That's all it takes to take a play moment into a deeper STEAM experience. And here's the part that should make you feel a bit relieved. You don't have to plan this always in advance. You can set out the invitation and watch what happens. And you can respond to what you see. That's it. That's the whole framework. Invite play, observe wonder, and extend STEAM. This is the blank canvas in action. You're not telling children what to create. You're giving them the space, the materials, and the gentle nudge to go deeper on their own terms. So let's come back to where we started. Teacher tired. In the old model, it's teacher, 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 and then the students. In a 5-star learning experience, it's teacher, student, teacher, student, teacher, student, balanced. You're not carrying the whole thing on your back anymore. You're guiding. Your students are building creativity, communication, critical thinking, collaboration, and of course, self-confidence every single day. That's the shift from teacher tired to teacher intentional. Now I want to show you something. Remember those Q-tip snowflakes from the STEAM night? This is the lesson I used to plan that center from inside of our member lab. You can see the STEAM question at the top. That's your invitation. The teaching strategy walks you through the invitation step by step. The materials list on the left has things you already have inside the classroom. The guiding questions are on the bottom. Those are your extensions. And on the right, every activity mapped out into all 5 areas of STEAM. So you never have to wonder, does this count as STEAM? You print it, you grab the materials, you go. That's it. STEAM lesson is just one of over 700 STEAM experiences inside the member lab. Here's what you get when you join. Every month, you get a new play guide organized by theme. 16 ready-to-go lessons that take the planning completely off your plate. Each one is designed the same way as the one I just showed you. The STEAM question, the teaching strategy, the materials list, the guiding question, and every activity is mapped into all 5 areas of STEAM. You also get our Tinker Tub challenge cards, printable building prompts that turn everyday materials into open-ended STEAM invitations, plus observation sheets and reflection tools so you can document those moments of wonder and show the learning that's actually happening inside your classroom. Everything inside is hands-on, play-based, and designed specifically for preschool and kindergarten. No screens for your little learners, just real materials, real exploration, and real STEAM learning ready for Monday morning. And I'm not the only one seeing this work. Here's what teachers using preschool STEAM are saying. I do not do STEAM from anybody but you. Your site is so good. This is so neat and not at all what I thought would happen. I love it. So glad to have found you. I did the Lego maze with my kiddos and they loved it. It was a big hit. I have recommended this all over. These are real teachers in real classrooms using the same resources inside of our lab. So, everything I showed you today, invite, play, observe, wonder, extend, STEAM, you can start tomorrow. But when tomorrow morning hits and you're wondering what to set out, what to ask, and how to connect it all to STEAM, that's what our member lab does for you. We have over 700 hands on STEAM experiences, printable play guides, Tinker Tub challenge cards, all organized by theme and ready to print. I am revealing a big drop on the lab in this training. The member lab just got its lowest price it's ever had. For a limited time, a full year of access is $197, when it was usually $227. This is only available for a limited time. Visit Preschool STEAM to see inside. You've got a full 14-day money-back guarantee to try it in your classroom risk-free. Your little learners deserve a teacher who's intentional, not teacher tired. I can't wait to see you in the member lab. See you soon.